Everyone knows about that 2-week phase that happens each and every time you play Minecraft. This is one of those stories, and this time me and my friends were spread across a realistic recreation of the Earth with the ability to claim land and form factions. Would we split into factions and go to war with one another, or peacefully coexist? This is the story of one of my favorite Minecraft worlds and the events that unfolded. Please consider subscribing because this video took a lot of time to make and it helps out a ton. But anyways, enjoy the video. The server started with everyone spawning into the world at a central location in Africa. After gathering some basic materials such as wood and food, people met up with their friends and began traveling to different parts of the world, using the live world map to navigate to their destinations. There was one player who decided to base in a distant corner of the world because they wanted to live a peaceful life away from all the conflict of the world. This was AJ. He lived in between two great mountains in a place that would come to be known as the Valley of Speed.
While I'm not expecting anyone to try and attack us, I want to make sure that we are prepared. I was thinking that we should set up walls here in between the mountains so that we are defended on all sides.
Who's that?
Oh, him? That's Duck. He just escaped from the Bryce Empire, and he has come here to help us out in return for his protection.
AJ, desperate to grow his faction, had started allowing criminals to join him. Duck being the first who was actually recently kicked out of another faction, the Bryce Empire. Located on the center of the map, the Bryce Empire was building their fortress on top of the Suez Canal. My authoritarian rule of the empire had led to the creation of a bit of a prisoner problem, since I kept imprisoning anyone who opposed me. Duck was the first person to be thrown into the dungeon after he incinerated all of my cows. I wasn't just going to let that slide. So after Duck escaped, I realized that the one jail cell I had under my staircase wasn't going to be good enough if I ever needed to imprison more people. And let's be real, I was going to end up with more prisoners. So I decided to reach out to another nation and see if they wanted to build a prison. This was the Japan faction, a humble trio who had, until this point, spent most of their time in Japan building their base. I spoke to their leader Jacob about constructing a prison in exchange for resources and an alliance. They agreed and started construction of the prison in the desert near my base. It was also around this time that I had imprisoned Torpid for a variety of crimes. Since the prison was still being built, they had to stay in the dungeon. After throwing Torpid in jail, I was approached by Casey, the leader of another faction known as the United Nations. This faction spent most of their time farming potatoes and making the longest strip mine I have ever seen. So, what brings you here?
I have reason to believe that AJ is harboring the criminal Duck in South America.
Why would he do such a thing? Doesn't he know what Duck has done?
He doesn't care about Duck's crimes.
Alright, we're gonna go see if this is true. Learning that AJ could be providing refuge to Duck, I decided to put together an expedition to go and find out the truth. Casey, the United Nations leader, and Jacob of the Japan faction decided they would accompany me on the expedition. Deciding not to risk any of our valuable equipment, we headed out in iron armor, just in case there was a confrontation. As we arrived, AJ was already waiting for us on the shore.
You shouldn't be here.
I know that you let Duck join your faction.
What about it?
Duck has committed crimes against the Bryce Empire. You will return him to us at once.
Duck hasn't done anything to warrant the punishment you've planned for him.
Ha! You're making a serious mistake.
Duck is a part of my faction now. You have no authority here.
Very well then.
Seriously? I have had enough of this. I am the god of speed!
I had barely managed to get away from AJ as he obliterated the others. I snuck around the mountain and entered his base from the opposite direction, where I started taking screenshots that could be used later to plan a counterattack. Until AJ caught up.
You like my new shield?
You won't keep it for long.
Leave me and my people alone!
And with that, AJ had defeated our scouting party. I was furious. Not only did AJ refuse to return the criminals, he'd also attacked us and started a war with 3 nations. And to make matters worse, my prisoner Torpid had escaped while we were off dealing with AJ. And they went to join him, giving him yet another teammate. Upon hearing this, I immediately started drafting plans with my allies to invade AJ and sent even more resources to the Japan builders to speed up the prison's construction. Tensions were rising quickly and AJ had no choice but to enlist the escaped prisoners like Duck and Torpid because he knew that he wouldn't be able to face us alone. It was time. It had been decided that the combined nations would attack AJ head-on because of our numerical advantage. The plan was simple. We would gather all of our forces at the Bryce Fortress before setting out towards AJ. Unfortunately, Jacob forgot to bring his compass with him and got a little bit lost on his way over. This delay gave AJ time to realize what we were doing and prepare his faction for battle. As we grew closer, the tensions at AJ's base were rising until...
Torpid, what are you doing?
Torpid, fearing the impending invasion, had betrayed AJ because he thought that he could make up for his crimes and not be sent back to jail. AJ's strategy of expanding his faction with escaped prisoners had massively backfired. The very people that AJ was trying to protect had betrayed him. With all of AJ's items stolen by Torpid, AJ fled into the wilderness. When the combined nations arrived, they took Duck and Torpid into custody. Torpid didn't receive any time off his prison sentence for his betrayal of AJ since the combined nations saw it as proof that Torpid was dangerous and needed to be locked away. And just like that, AJ's faction had fallen and the Bryce Empire returned home with its prisoners recaptured. With the war finally over, the Bryce Empire could finally seek out retribution for all those who had opposed it, especially since the Japan faction's prison had finished construction.
Welcome to the prison. Here we care for our prisoners and make sure they get plenty of exercise. Each prisoner gets their own unique cell where they are required to sleep, and just in case of any of them step out of line, we have multiple methods for rehabilitating them, such as the peaceful shower, the cactus pit, and the item incinerator. We also have state-of-the-art security with our item screening zone and our 1-block ledges to stop those pesky block glitchers.
That was Chris, warden of the prison, and I had just brought him his first 2 inmates, which he had immediately put to work in the cobblestone mines. It was only a couple hours later when Casey, the leader of the United Nations, decided to visit the prison. And you remember that super long strip mine he was making? Well, yeah, by this point it was over 10,000 blocks long, and Casey was by far the richest player on the server. So the Japan faction immediately decided that they were going to imprison Casey during his visit in order to extort some of his wealth. They immediately put him to work in the cobblestone mines with the other prisoners, but they had no idea what they had just done. When they'd brought Casey into the prison, they didn't properly search him to check if he had had anything on him. So when Casey was down in the mines, he met up with the other prisoners and revealed that he had a stack of iron blocks.
Oh no.
While Casey was the only one to escape during the revolution, the other prisoners would end up getting their chance as well. After all the prisoners escaped, the Japan faction returned home to continue working on their base. As for the Bryce Empire, we had set our sights on invading Casey because we discovered that he'd been hiding a mending villager and wasn't willing to share. But away from all the chaos of the world, AJ, still in hiding, received news of the prison break and smiled into the sunset one last time before he logged off knowing everyone was free. And once again, the story comes to a close. Over this 2-week period, we had brought this world to life with our stories and adventure. As we move on from this now empty world, we know that we can always look back and remember the fun we had. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, since my next recap is going to be over my favorite Minecraft server I have ever hosted. And who knows, I might even get to upload it this year. Anyways, thanks for watching.